BronyCon is a convention dedicated to MLP and its fandom. Once the fandom had begun in 2010, a year later the fans had discussed the idea of meetups for quite some time. Before the con was officially created, there was a small meetup with around 30 or so people in Little Italy, located in the Bronx of New York. The first 4 BronyCons were all located in New York, with the logo of the con even having the NY in Brony highlighted for New York City. The first and second con were held in the year of 2011, the first being in June at the NYC Seminar and Conference Center, and the second being in September, located in Chinatown, Manhattan. As the years went by, the more special guests were brought in from the show's staff, like Jason Season, to the voice actors, like the main 6 voice actresses and even John Delancey. Soon the number of attendees went from 100 to 300 to 700 and just kept growing from there, every following con with the number of attendees increasing. The third being only one day in January at Hotel Pennsylvania in New York, and the fourth con saw a shift in location from the New York area to the Meadowlands Exposition Center in New Jersey, from June 30th to July 1st that same year. This convention was met with around 3,500 to even 4,000 attendees. The fifth BronyCon was the beginning of 2 very important shifts in the convention's history. First, the con was now being held once a year instead of twice a year, and second, instead of the New York area, the con was going to be held in Baltimore, Maryland. Ever since then, for the next 7 years, the attendees numbers grew, the guest list kept on growing, and the events just kept popping. So what type of events are held here exactly? Nothing really different from any other convention. There are various activities like arts and crafts and karaoke nights, meetups with fellow fans and fandom content creators, live shows for performing musicians and podcasters, live Q&A sessions featuring people behind the show like the writers, artists, animators, and voice actors, vendor rooms where you can buy various different types of merchandise, both official and fan-made, places to sit down and play various different types of tabletop games, and of course the autograph booth. All revolving around the magic of friendship taught to us by brightly colored magical horses, trademarked by Hasbro. Oh, and can't forget the food stands for when you need to get your snackage on. So I figured that I'd have to go to this year's BronyCon. It's the last one, it's such a big part of the fandom, I figured that I'd have to do it. And so I did. I was brought there by my Uncle Toby, who drove me there to Baltimore, and I gotta say, even though he wasn't really into the show, I think he had a really good time. Before I talk about all the stuff that I did get to see and the pictures that I took and events that I went to and stuff, I just want to quickly brief some of the stuff that I didn't get to do, unfortunately. There was a couple of meet and greets that I sadly had to miss because I was either at a panel or I was waiting in line for one. Like, I didn't get to see the meet and greet with people like Dusty Cat, and I didn't get an autograph from people like him or Black Griffin or Little Shy. One meet and greet I really wanted to do, I especially wanted to do something for Pony Fanboy Reads with this, but sadly couldn't, was I wanted to see the meet and greet for people like Lost Narrator, Magpie, Scribbler, all that kind of stuff, but sadly I was in the line for something, so I sadly couldn't see them. But on the plus side, I did get to see their panel live. I also sadly didn't get to see the person responsible for the masterpiece that is a critical Brony analysis of My Little Pony the movie. So yeah, I sadly didn't get to see Jenny Nicholson, Jenny Wakeman. Reference to a Pony Fanboy Reads video. And the last thing that I wanted to say that I was kind of sad about was I didn't get to the convention until Friday, even though it started on Thursday. But someone did show me one of the great things. It was thankfully recorded. It was Gilbert Gottfried doing a video call where he was singing along to This Day aria.
I would care less about it, Chris. I will partake in any cake. Thou shalt be mine when I say that though any kind of weather, I'll want us to be together. The truth is, I don't care for him at all.
With all that out of the way, now let's talk about the stuff at the convention I did get to do. Just making our way downtown, trotting fast, something lyrics, I don't know the song. Okay, well, registration is actually this way. I'm finally upgrading. I went from blue to orange. Dude wearing a Supreme bucket hat. Even though I wasn't there Thursday, I was able to do 3 out of the 4 days, which is pretty good. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Before I went to my first panel and waited in the line for it, I went down to the second floor out of the 3 floors, and I saw a group of people singing classic fandom songs like the Smile Song and Discord by Living Tombstone, and that was fun. Discord, we are alone. We're already just a so we're taking back the throne. Discord, we're not taking it anymore. So take your tyranny away. On every pound. sunshine. He's a smile, smile, smile from these happy fans of mine.
Being your bronies, okay?
We're gonna buy it.
You will also get on. Yes.
Oh, that's a cool thing. But as one of the only has ladies here, I love you guys. As we all say, bro hoof.
Yeah.
Bro hoof.
First panel I was able to do was the fanfiction panel with a majority of the people who do comic dubs and fanfic reading videos. Basically, people could get into a line and they would have this fill in the blank thing where you would suggest an object or a character or something along those lines, and it would then be inserted into the fanfiction, and then they would proceed to read the fanfiction in its entirety.
Fried chicken.
What was that? Fried chicken. An object. Oh, there we go. Object non. Oh wait, no, yeah. Object non-plural.
Muffin.
Yeah. After that, I went down to the vendor room, saw if there was anything that I wanted to buy, and I did get some stuff, and I'll show that off in a little bit. But I saw some people who had some cool cosplay. I got some footage of a fellow Rarity fan. I get a fist bump from a fellow Rarity fan.
That's right. That's
Fuck yeah! I met up with one of my favorite reaction channels, Ratchetness, as well as his sister, who is an artist, and she was selling stuff, and I was able to buy a bookmark of Rarity from her, and that was pretty cool. And I was able to get a shout out from both of them.
What's up? This is my sister, Ursong.
And this is my brother Ratchetness, or Noble Wolf.
The hell
Excuse
I
the
am. I'm
LV.
Ratchet No Wolf nowadays. Yeah, this is Pony Fan Reviews.
After that, I went back up to the third floor, and this was the only time I was in a room that wasn't room 307 to 309. And it was the one, I think, not at the very end of the hall, but it was like second to last in the hallway. And they were having a panel talking about the history of the actual toy line itself, hosted by a couple of MLP toy reviewers. And that was pretty cool, these people showing off their knowledge of the toy line and talking about, you know, the 80s MLP and then the 90s MLP and then Generation 3 MLP toys.
Moving on, we have Generation 3. If you look carefully, it's a minty pony there with her eyelids lowered, and that didn't sit well with me in particular case. And collectors actually dubbed this the diva pose, so this girl is just diva-licious. Even my 6-year-old self can see that minty. And next we have Generation 3. Like, if this is what really attracts you. So
I don't think a lot of the fandom can sleep knowing that that exists.
after that, good things would come. Colossal failure, we got Generation 4. Yay! So,
I think my favorite thing about Friday, the personal highlight of Friday for me, would have to be the SemiPerfect Podcast Live, and then after that was a After the Fact with Silver Quill Live. SemiPerfect Podcast is a podcast hosted by a lot of the faces that you see show up on Bronies React. A lot of the same people that were at the Bronies React panel were also in here. A lot of the big ones.
The SemiPerfect Podcast is a podcast that we host. It's on Wednesday nights, basically every other Wednesday night. It's got a whole bunch of the cast of characters you see up here, and then we have special guest Jim.
Hey, how's it going?
His birthday is today!
Happy birthday, Jim!
What we do on our podcast is go over really random topics, a whole bunch of stuff, talk about stories, things happening kind of in life. We're all doing very different things. Obviously, Gabe's sitting next to me.
That's right. I got a mic. Right, Saber?
But yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff. Like for me, what I enjoy about the podcast is that there's so many different perspectives. We don't always agree on what we're talking about. We talk about movies, media. Of course, we talk about My Little Pony. We'll discuss, episodes that are coming out, which it's crazy to me that, as much as we don't like acknowledging it, that the show is coming to an end. But really, again, that doesn't mean that this is coming to an end. And there's so much more to come. Saber's, bye Saber. He's sleepwalking.
Come back, we love you. The highlight of this one was I was able to get a homie to the channel, one of MC Swigga's bestest friends, MC Webster, a shout out from his personal favorite, Saberspark.
You keep being you, man. Keep subscribing to Saberspark. Trademarks. Thank you guys so much.
And speaking of that panel, they also had a special birthday guest, Jim Gizriel, who was interviewed on Swig Talk. It was cool to get to see him, and I'm possibly even going to show up in Jim's video, so I'm looking forward to that. But after that panel, after I talked to Jim and Saber and Paleo and Wraith and even Jax Blade and a couple of the others, and I got their autographs and everything, after that was After the Fact Live with Silver Quill, where Silver Quill did a live review of one of the most disliked episodes in the fandom, Feeling Pinky Keen.
You don't believe it because you don't understand.
Pondering. Honestly, I think she's more just staring into the face of madness right now. But here's the thing. This is pretty much the defining line of this episode. It says, you don't believe because you don't understand. And I think that's where a lot of people are tempted to come through and basically phrase this in the context of belief versus science or knowing, knowledge. Twilight is now getting repeated information on this, and so she's having what she originally dismissed is now saying, this is interesting, but perverse point of view. There's merit, but still wrong. We've upgraded from complete nonsense to you have my attention.
Even though the SemiPerfect Podcast Live was a Q&A, I think that a lot of the same energy and fun that was in that panel was also translated into After the Fact Live, mainly just because the presenters are super endearing and entertaining in person as much as they are in their videos. Silver Quill had a really good balance between good points, funny jokes, and lots of really wonderful interaction with the audience. And to wrap up a perfect Friday, I was able to film a shout out from one of my favorite MLP reviewers, Josh Scorcher, who happened to have been in the audience at the time.
Hi, this is the Fiery Joker, and you're watching Pony Fanboy Reviews.
So then comes Saturday. The first panel I wanted to go to was at 10 o'clock, and it was TF2 Analysis Live, where they showcased the next episode, as well as a trailer for another project that they were working on. And I wasn't allowed to film any of this because they said that it contained spoilers for the next episode, so they said no recording. It was fun. It was great to see the episode ahead of time. It was really funny, as it always is. After that, I went back upstairs to get in line for Riffing is Magic, and I ran into a content creator that is a friend/fan of the channel, Nordy. He does his own reviews. He has done tons of MLP content. It was awesome to see him in person. And we went to probably one of my favorite panels of all time from this weekend, Riffing is Magic, hosted by Saber Spark and Paleo and all those guys. And the subject that was being riffed was not hot to trot, like a lot of us were thinking, which is this 80s movie where John Candy plays a horse and it stars Bobcat Goldthwait, but it was actually this Christian CGI show called Donkey Ollie, and this spawned one of the greatest memes throughout the entire convention with the song Be Strong.
I feel like it's extra good.
Get those phones down!
Don't give this song a satisfaction.
No hero. Come on, let's get to the church, guys! Hold that thing.
The dolphins are singing. It's
Come on, cheerleaders, raise your hands up!
After that panel, I then went through the vendor room because I had some time to kill for the next thing that I wanted to do. So I might as well show you some of the stuff that I was able to get all throughout the convention. Here, let me show you. So as for the things that I got this wonderful Andy Price shirt of Celestia and Luna wearing funny t-shirts. I was able to get two of these. I got one for me and one for Chris, which I highly doubt he's going to wear, but hopefully he does. Here is the autograph from M.A. Larson, which is pretty cool. When I was waiting in line for the Fanfiction Panel, there was a guy handing out free stickers, and so I was able to get this Rainbow Dash sticker of her in her Wonderbolt costume. This is pretty cool. You know, being a Rarity fan, Rarity's best pony, so there you go. Here are some stickers that Jim was able to get me, and these are pretty cool. It's of his YouTube channel, his little YouTube icon, which is pretty cool. So yeah, thank you so much, Jim, for these. I'm definitely going to give one of these to Swigga for sure. Here are the autographs I was able to get. Some of these I got from previous conventions, but it was just great to get more autographs from some of these people. Some of these were online, some of these were after panels, and yeah, there's some on the back right here, so show off some of those. I then went to the panel hosted by M.A. Larson and Jason Season, where they were talking about their experiences working on the show, whether it's writing or animation or producing, all that kind of stuff, and that was cool. It's definitely great to see the higher-ups talk about their experiences working on the show. Those are always fun. And from the perspective of the writing room, it was very interesting to see their take. Also, it was M.A. Larson's birthday that day, and they gave him this great big rarity birthday card, which was awesome.
On that note, Mitch, I heard some rumor about the birthday or something.
Yeah, it's birthday.
Oh, yeah. Side note, the one who brought it to, the one who made it happen, could you please stand up?
That's when I went down to try and see the PMD Contest, but sadly I ended up not getting in there. What was great was there were some DJs taking requests for music, and they played such classics like Despacito, and they also played Old Town Road. And so once the security said that there was no more room for the PMD Contest showcase, I just decided to cut my losses and head down to the line for Brony's React, which was the last thing that I wanted to do for the night.
I'm going to start introducing people up. First person I'm going to bring up to the stage, Peter Parker, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes!
Next up to the stage, make some noise for Black Griffin. Now most of you know you can't have Saber without Paleo. So many options, so many choices. Who likes some manliness in their lives? Folks, make some noise for someone in a spider mask. Amazing animations earlier during this convention. Welcome to the stage, Viva Reverie! And last but certainly not least, someone I've had such a pleasure working with on these Bronies React, Little Shia Fire! Literally going to jump right into Q&A. So what I want to do, because I know everyone's probably excited, I'm going to set up the Q&A mic over here, and I ask that everybody nicely makes away. We're going to form a line. What? Where should we form a line Q&A?
He's, what is he, microphone up here?
Over there.
One of the things I found interesting was a possible project that they might do in the future is Bronies React to Bronies React, and the gimmick is that you're only supposed to react to other people's reactions, but not your own. So I am a little curious to see Bronies React. And they also said that they would react to older episodes from seasons that they didn't react to, as well as other potential projects and other horse and pony related things, so that's going to be cool. Then came Sunday, the thing that I was trying to do all weekend. That day before I left, I knew that I was going to get a picture and an autograph from Lauren Faust, the almighty Fausticorn herself. I got a picture with her, and I got a special little thing autographed for a certain friend of mine, because I know that he's a big fan of the movie, and I know she had a hand in it, so I figured that I would get MediaWiz an autographed copy of the Powerpuff Girls movie, which I was able to snag from him when he wasn't looking before I took off for the weekend, and I got it autographed for him. So, yeah, that was my BronyCon. Final thoughts, BronyCon was very fun. All the panels I had fun with, all the panels I found interesting. It was great to see a bunch of familiar faces that I watch, and it was great to have fan discussions. Like when we were waiting in line for Lauren Faust, a bunch of us started having discussions about the show's overall run and what could possibly be held in the future for G5. It was really fun. It was really great to have all these discussions with people, to see all these content creators that I was such a fan of, and to meet such higher-ups like M.A. Larson and see Jason Season and Lauren Faust. It was great for all of that. That was Pony Fanboy's review of BronyCon 2019. Meanwhile,
special gift while out of town. As a way of thanking you for being a fellow Brony friend, Media Wiz, Pony Fanboy. Once again, the day was saved thanks to the Powerpuff Girls' Lauren Faust autograph.
Main issues, the show being canceled for 58 years, and, well, it's still in Baltimore.